Welcome back to the deep dive. And, I honestly didn't expect that Chapter 5 would take up our entire last session.
Oh, I know. It's just, well, there was a lot of ground to cover.
There really was. But, nothing really happened in Fourth Wing that was worth analyzing on a basic world-building level. Like, it was so plot-driven and fast-paced.
Right, which is exactly why readers love Fourth Wing, but then they kind of hit a wall and hate Iron Flame.
Yeah, exactly. I always say I prefer the Empyrean approach, where you hook the reader in with the first book versus, well, like Akatar. I picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses after reading the Empyrean books, and I couldn't get through the book. It was such a drag.
Oh, really? Where did you stop?
I stopped literally at the scene where Tamlin was buying fair paints. I haven't picked it up since.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's just a ton of world building in that first book.
But there is a lot of world building in Fourth Wing, too. I just didn't lose sleep over it.
Well, trust me, Akatar gets better in the second book.
People always say that. But why should I wait for the second book when I can't even get past the first one? I'm way more likely to read sequels if the first book is good. I don't want to wait until the sequel for the story to get good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's totally fair. You're reading the first book right now, so it needs to deliver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Rebecca Yarros' Iron Flame. Specifically, we're looking at chapters 6 and 7.
And we really want to extract the hidden machinery that's driving this plot because there is so much going on under the surface.
Yeah, and we are drawing from a massive stack of sources to make sense of this absolute chaos.
Yeah.
We've got chapter-by-chapter breakdowns from Stora Lena.
Those are lifesavers, honestly.
Right. And we're also using these incredibly detailed book club transcripts from the YouTube channel Between Pages and Friends, plus some comparative fantasy analysis from the Cinerate blog.
We also pulled some deep dive Reddit fan theories, which are wild, and character wikis from the book feed.
Because the goal here is to cut through the absolute information overload of this massive sequel.
Exactly. We want to pull out the most crucial world-building nuggets for you and really help you understand exactly why the pacing feels the way it does.
And expose those terrifying secrets that are secretly pulling the strings right inside Basgiath War College.
So much is happening right under their noses.
Okay, let's unpack this. Honestly, I didn't expect that just getting through the fallout of Chapter 5 would take up a massive chunk of our analysis.
It's practically a whole book in itself.
It really is. But we cannot skip over what happens at that graduation party. It feels like an entire story arc crammed into a single event.
Yeah, Xaden and the Marked Ones graduate, and there is this immediate, brutal separation.
Right, and Violet is suddenly just left entirely alone with, the heaviest secret in the world, which is that the Vanian are actually real.
And Yarros gives the reader absolutely zero time to process that paradigm shift. None.
Not at all.
The graduation party isn't a celebration. It's a structural dismantling of Violet's safety net.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, she loses her physical protector, she loses her confidants, and she's just thrust back into this completely hostile academic environment.
Which completely explains that narrative whiplash that readers always talk about. Moving into the second book feels less like a traditional sequel and more like, it's like waking up mid-skydive.
Exactly.
You don't get a chance to, check your parachute or admire the view. You just have to figure out how to pull the cord before you hit the ground. It's so stressful.
It is. And actually, the Cinerate blog provides a really fascinating comparative analysis on this exact feeling.
Oh, right. The comparison with A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah, they contrast the Empyrean series with Sarah J. Maas's Akatar. They look at the fundamental difference in how these authors anchor the reader in the world.
I found that comparison so illuminating. Because I actually picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses after finishing some other heavy fantasy. And, I struggled to get through it.
It's a very different vibe.
It really is.
Yeah.
I stopped at the scene where Tamlin is just, buying fair paints. I haven't picked it up since.
I'm not alone in that.
It just felt like such a drag compared to the adrenaline of Fourth Wing,
Well, what you experience there is the difference between immersion pacing and stress pacing.
Okay, wait. Break that down for me.
So Akatar relies on immersion. The author essentially forces the reader to slow down and bond with the environment.
Right.
You spend chapters learning the politics of the Fey courts, wandering through gardens, or, buying painting supplies. The world has to feel lived in before it gets threatened.
But Yarros uses stress pacing.
Exactly. She bonds you to the characters by basically trapping you in a foxhole with them.
Which is a completely different psychological hook. It's why I'm personally more likely to read sequels if the first book grabs me by the collar right away.
Yeah, you don't want to wait around.
I don't want to wait until the sequel for the story to get good, and Fourth Wing totally delivered on that.
But the trade-off is that in Iron Flame, you are trying to absorb all this dense world building while literally dodging bullets.
Yeah, it's like running on a treadmill that's going way too fast. But I have to push back a little here. Like, if the pacing is so fast, aren't we losing the nuanced character development we had in book 1?
It's a fair question, but the development hasn't disappeared. It's just happening under duress now.
Under duress, right.
Yeah. The fast pace is driven by immediate, terrifying threats. They make these desperate, high-stakes decisions because they literally don't have time to stop and think.
Which leads perfectly into what happens in Chapter 6.
Yes, exactly. The threats just escalate.
We get Colonel Ados, or Daddy Ados, as the internet affectionately dreads him.
Yes. Daddy Ados.
He realizes his secrets about the Venin are leaking, and he goes straight for the nuclear option to silence Violet.
Right. He doesn't just threaten her.
No. He specifically threatens her sister Mira's life if Violet talks to anyone. And I really struggled with the logic here at first. Like, why bring Mira into this?
It seems random at first glance.
Right. Because she is a high-ranking officer, she's a captain, but she doesn't even know about the Venin yet. Why is she the leverage?
So if we synthesize the character wikis, the strategy behind targeting Mira reveals this, like, brilliantly cruel understanding of the board state.
Okay, lay it out.
Let's look at Violet's remaining family. Her mother, General Lilith Sorrengail, already knows about the Venin and is fiercely loyal to the Navarian cover-up.
Right, so Lilith is a complete dead end. I mean, if Violet told her mother, Lilith would just give her a lecture on military protocol and make excuses.
Exactly like she did when Brennan supposedly died.
Wow, yeah, so true.
That's precisely the calculation Ados makes. Now look at Xaden. He already knows the truth, but because of the events of Chapter 5, he just graduated and was immediately shipped off.
So he can't physically protect anyone at Basgiath.
Right. That leaves Mira. She is highly capable, yes, but because she doesn't know the truth about the Venin or the corruption within her own ranks, she won't see an assassination attempt coming.
Oh, wow.
She is the perfect blind spot.
That is so deeply manipulative. I mean, Ados is literally weaponizing Mira's ignorance against Violet.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
And speaking of Xaden being shipped off, leadership stationed him at Samara. And if you look at the map of Navarre, Samara isn't just down the road.
Not at all.
It is a day's flight away from Basgiath, positioned right at the border across an entire mountain range.
It's a calculated geographical isolation. And it introduces this really fascinating mechanical conflict regarding the dragons.
Yes, because Terran and Scaril are absolutely miserable about this distance.
It's awful for them.
But I know they have a mating bond. But why does a mountain range actually matter to massive magical creatures? Like, can't they just fly to each other?
Well, it comes down to how their magic functions as a literal frequency.
Frequency.
Yeah, the mating bond isn't just an emotional attachment, it is a shared magical current. When they are separated by that kind of extreme physical distance, the signal attenuates.
I see.
The magic stretches and frays, which causes profound physical and psychological pain to both dragons. Leadership knows this. They are essentially torturing the dragons just to keep Violet and Xaden apart.
That is so messed up. Which means we only get Xaden every other chapter now, and the dragons are just constantly on edge.
And before Xaden leaves, he gives Violet a very specific warning.
Right, he tells her not to involve herself with Imogen and the other marked ones. He explicitly says to stay away from them for her own safety.
And surprisingly, Violet doesn't argue with him.
Yeah, which is weird for her. But she doesn't argue because she secretly has her own plans, right? She's formulating her own strategy on how she can help the revolution.
She is. She's finally internalizing the danger and learning to play the game.
Side note, though, amidst all this heavy life-or-death tension, there's a brilliant detail from the Between Pages YouTube transcripts that I just love.
Oh, about Andarna.
Yes.
Yeah.
Andarna's snarky response to Violet in this chapter.
The dreamless sleep phase.
Exactly. So Andarna is entering this critical growth period for adolescent dragons where they essentially hibernate. But Violet is incredibly anxious and keeps checking on her.
Like every 5 minutes.
Yes. And finally, Andarna just mentally snaps at her. If you want me to sleep, stop checking on me. You're only waking me up.
It's so relatable.
As a light sleeper myself, I felt that in my soul. The YouTube hosts described Andarna perfectly as this jaded, emo teenager who just wants her mom to close the bedroom door.
It's so funny. It provides a necessary moment of levity, certainly, but functionally, it isolates Violet even further.
Wait, how so?
Think about it. Terran is distracted by the physical pain of Skyle's absence, and Andarna is literally unconscious. Violet's magical safety net is entirely offline.
Oh, you're right. Leaving her incredibly vulnerable for the shifting power dynamics at the end of Chapter 6.
They're promotions.
Yes. Dane Ados, the guy who literally used his signet to steal Violet's memories and inadvertently caused Liam's death, is promoted to wing leader.
The worst.
Meanwhile, Violet's best friend Rhiannon is promoted to squad leader. And the internet is basically a chorus of cheers for Rhiannon and boos for Dane.
Naturally.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because these new leadership dynamics violently clash in the classroom in Chapter 7.
Oh, Chapter 7 introduces a terrifying new curriculum.
It does.
Professor Grady announces the Writer Survival Course, or RSC.
Which the readers immediately dubbed the torture class.
And that is a very accurate description, honestly.
Yeah.
Grady explains they will be learning navigation, survival behind enemy lines, and crucially, the physical and psychological techniques required to withstand interrogation.
The irony of this is just suffocating. I mean, our girl Violet happens to be carrying the most valuable explosive secret in all of Navarre.
The absolute biggest secret.
And now she is officially scheduled to be systematically interrogated and tortured in a classroom setting by a military that desperately wants to keep that secret buried.
It's a nightmare scenario, and this specific plot point completely reframes the ongoing conflict between Violet and Xaden regarding honesty.
Oh, yes.
The YouTube book club had a phenomenal psychological breakdown of this, which they termed the red flag diary debate.
Red flag diary, yes.
Yeah.
Because romantically, it feels terrible.
You're right.
Violet is demanding total honesty for their relationship to work, which, you know, is a standard, healthy boundary in any normal relationship.
But tactically,
Yeah.
if we look at the mechanics of their environment, Xaden's secrecy is actually the only logical move.
I hate to admit it, but yeah.
If Xaden tells Violet everything, the locations of the rebel bases, the names of the spies, the supply routes, and then she's officially tortured in RSC.
The revolution is instantly gone.
Exactly.
If she breaks, they all die. Seeing it from that angle, I really have to admit that Xaden was entirely right to hold his ground.
He was.
He isn't withholding information to be controlling. He is compartmentalizing intelligence, because Violet is an active liability walking into an interrogation room.
Information is a weapon, but in this case, it is also a massive vulnerability. And, you know, the hits just keep coming in Chapter 7.
They really do. Professor Grady drops a staggering statistic on the riders. There are only 89 second years left alive.
It's wild.
They are the smallest class since the quadrant was established. We know the mortality rate of Basgiath is intentionally high, but less than 100 riders left in an entire class. That feels like a massive systemic failure.
It is a systemic failure, but not for the reasons the human military claims.
Oh.
If we look at the Reddit fan theories compiled in our sources, there is a much deeper political movement happening among the dragons themselves.
The Empyrean strike.
Exactly. Terran confirms this. Fewer dragons are willing to bond.
Because the humans refuse to admit the Venan problem.
That's the core issue. The dragon leadership structure is deeply divided.
Right.
They are highly intelligent creatures. They know the Venan are returning. They know magic is being drained from the continent. And they know the Navarian leadership is actively lying to the populace to maintain political order.
So they're taking a stand.
The dragons aren't just scarce. They are executing a conscious political strike. They refuse to bond their magic to a military that lies to them and refuses to fight the real enemy.
Okay, but let me ask a genuine question about causality here.
Sure.
If the dragons are so intelligent and they know the absolute truth, why do they let the human leadership run the war college at all?
It's a great point.
I mean, they are massive, fire-breathing apex predators. Why not just burn the corrupt human generals and take over the defense of the continent themselves?
That is the core paradox of their world. It comes down to the mechanics of the codependent treaty between dragons and humans.
Okay, explain that.
Yes, dragons possess the raw elemental power, but dragons do not possess the specific channeling ability or the physical hands, so to speak, to weave wards.
The magical wards that protect Navarre, and more importantly, protect the dragon hatchling grounds in the Vale.
Exactly. Without human riders to act as conduits, channeling the dragon's raw power into the physical ward stones, the magical defenses fall.
I see.
The dragons need human riders to power the shield that protects their young from the venom, and the humans need the dragons for the magic to survive at all.
So it's a magical version of mutually assured destruction.
Precisely.
They're trapped in this political marriage. And because the dragons are politically paralyzed, and the human military is actively lying and threatening to torture her, Violet is completely isolated.
She had no one to turn to.
Exactly. Where do you even go for the truth when the military and the magical entities are both compromised?
You have to bypass the interpretation and go straight to the raw data.
Which leads Violet straight out of the Writer's Quadrant and into the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
The Scribe Quadrant.
Yes.
She goes to the archives to research the mechanics of the wards, because she knows Tyrrendor, the base of the rebellion, is currently unprotected.
Right. If the Xaden attack, the rebels have no magical shield to fall back under. They're completely out in the open.
Her mission is critical. The survival of the rebellion depends on figuring out how the first 6 riders originally wove the wards. But infiltrating the archives is wildly dangerous.
And she is so smart about how she handles this.
She really is. She seeks out her old friend, Jasenia, the deaf scribe, but she doesn't just, walk up to the front desk.
No, that would be a disaster.
She waits, observes Jasenia's schedule, and catches her alone. She lies, claiming she needs ancient texts for a mundane debate about why Basgiath's geographical location was chosen.
And Jasenia becomes a vital subversive ally here.
Absolutely.
Scribes are indoctrinated to be emotionless, objective record keepers, but Jasenia's loyalty to Violet proves stronger than her loyalty to her quadrant's rules.
Yeah, she risks execution to smuggle out century-old tomes written in dead languages.
It's incredibly brave.
It makes me think. The Scribe Quadrant is fundamentally like the IT department of a massive tyrannical corporation.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. Like they hold all the administrative passwords to reality. If a historical event isn't recorded by a scribe, it officially never happened.
They control the narrative.
Exactly. If you control the archives, you control the public's perception of reality itself.
And that brings up a brilliant, unsettling question posed by the Screen Rant source.
Oh, about the infiltration.
Yes. Why hasn't the revolution tried to infiltrate the Scribe Quadrant?
Right.
We know Brennan has spies inside Basgiath. He has people in the Writer's Quadrant, the Healer's Quadrant. But the scribes seem completely untouched by the rebels.
It's definitely weird when you think about it.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the Screen Rant theory suggests a chilling reason for that lack of rebel infiltration.
Okay, brace me.
The theory posits that the Scribe Quadrant is already heavily infiltrated, but by the enemy.
The Venan.
Yes. Oh my God. The theory breaks down how Venan could masquerade as scribes to move freely within the heart of Basgiath. Think about the physical uniform.
Oh, the heavy robes.
Right. Scribes walk around with heavy robes, their hoods up, their heads down. They are expected to be silent, never questioning, always observing from the corners of a room.
It is the absolute perfect operational cover for a spy network.
And the theory points the finger directly at the top of the food chain. Markham, the curator of the Scribe Quadrant.
The guy who literally rewrote the Navarian history textbooks to erase the existence of the Venan.
If Markham is a Venan plant, or at least a high-level collaborator actively working for them, the entire puzzle falls into place.
Mind blown.
It explains the mechanics of how the Venan managed to systematically erase themselves from a highly literate society's history for over 400 years.
They control the IT department.
Exactly.
And wait, that explains a massive psychological mystery from the very first chapter of the series.
Her parents.
Yes. Why Violet's parents, Lilith and Asher Sorengale, desperately pulled Violet out of the Scribe Quadrant at the absolute last second.
Let's recontextualize that for a second.
Please do.
Violet's father was a scribe. He spent her entire life training her for the archives. But then he dies under mysterious circumstances.
Right.
Immediately after, her mother, General Lilith, violently forces her frail daughter to walk the parapet to become a writer, a quadrant she's physically unsuited for.
Violet and the reader always thought Lilith was just being a cruel, militaristic mother.
But if Lilith and Asher had discovered that the highest administrative levels of the Scribe Quadrant were actually compromised by dark wielders,
then putting Violet in the Scribe Quadrant wasn't giving her a safe desk job. It was sending her completely unarmed into the central nervous system of the enemy.
Exactly. By forcing her to become a writer and potentially bond a dragon, Lilith was actually giving Violet the only real protection available in a corrupted world.
The raw physical magic required to fight back. Oh my God.
It completely rewrites the emotional foundation of the series.
It really does.
Violet's seemingly innocent library research right now in Chapter 7 isn't just sneaking past strict professors. She is actively placing herself in the crosshairs of the true enemy hiding within Basgiath's walls.
She thinks she's hacking the system, but the system is watching her.
It's so tense.
That is genuinely terrifying. Just the sheer density of the machinery working beneath the surface of these chapters is astounding. We started by talking about the pacing, and you can see why it moves so fast. The characters are dancing on a minefield.
Every single interaction, whether it's a promotion, a class syllabus, or a trip to the library, is layered with multiple levels of deception and survival tactics.
Let's do a quick recap of the board. We've tracked the psychological whiplash of the pacing, how the stress of Chapter 5 forces everyone into a panic.
Right.
We've looked at the brutal, strategic isolation of Violet, how leadership weaponized Mira's ignorance and used the mechanics of the dragon mating bond to physically torture Taryn and keep Xaden away.
And we analyzed the horrifying reality of the writer's survival course, which, let's be real, validates the tactical necessity of Xaden's secrets.
We uncovered the political strike happening within the Empyrean, driven by the mutually assured destruction of ward magic.
And finally, that terrifying realization that the scribe quadrant, the foundation of all Navarian knowledge, might actually be a fully operational Venan spy network.
Navigating this kind of world requires incredible critical thinking from Violet. You have to question your sources, and you have to know when the official history is conveniently missing a few pages.
Because history isn't just what the winners write down, it's what the survivors manage to smuggle out of the archives.
So what does this all mean? Where does this leave the larger world of Navarre as we move deeper into the book?
Well, it leaves us having to question the integrity of every single institution.
Every single one.
Think about it. If the Venan have successfully used the scribe quadrant to control reality for hundreds of years, what other foundational pillars of society are compromised?
That's a scary thought.
Possible.
That is a thought that is going to keep me up tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into the absolute madness of early Iron Flame. Keep your wards up, question everything you read, and keep your eyes open. We'll catch you next time.